Today, we're talking about the question, hasn't science disproved the Bible? And now if you've ever seen a TikTok or YouTube atheist bring up this point and not quite known what to think, you're not alone and you're not gonna wanna miss this. So hasn't science disproven the Bible? That's the question we're addressing today. And what I need you to know right up front is that God isn't afraid of science. So if you've never heard this, let me just be the first to tell you that you can be an open-minded, critically thinking, scientifically curious, committed Christian. Now, when Jesus was asked what the most important commandment was, he responded by saying, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength." See, what Jesus is telling us is that we don't have to turn off our brains to believe in God. Instead, our minds get to be fully engaged. I love what the scientist and astronomer, the guy who discovered the 3 laws that govern planetary motion, Johann Kepler, said when he noted that scientific research, ideas, and discovery were just like thinking God's thoughts after him. After all, God came up with all of this. See, our faith is based on a God who created the universe with laws and order and stability. It is this foundational belief that actually makes scientific research possible. In fact, did you know that the vast majority of the fathers of modern science were actually Christians? Guys like Galileo, Pascal, Boyle, Faraday, Clerk Maxwell, Newton, and Bacon, the guy who actually invented the scientific method. And if you read some of the things that they wrote, you'll see how their belief in God was one of the biggest drivers of their scientific curiosity. So God's not afraid of science. And the perceived conflict between science and the Bible actually comes from misunderstanding science or misinterpreting the Bible. To understand what I mean, let's get on the same page with our terms. First, what is science? Science is defined as the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and the testing of theories against the evidence that you obtain. That's science. What about the Bible? The Bible is a unified story that leads to Jesus and teaches us to live like Jesus. That's what the Bible is, but you also need to know what the Bible is not. The Bible is not a textbook that's meant to answer all of our questions. Why is that important? Because if you don't know what something is, you won't know what it's trying to do. In order to properly understand science, we have to use the tool for its intended purpose, investigating the physical and natural world. It's kind of like how you wouldn't use a magnifying glass to try and hammer a nail, or like you wouldn't use a birthday card from a friend as a recipe to make a cake. The perceived conflict between science and the Bible comes from misunderstanding science or misinterpreting the Bible. Because really, they go hand in hand to help us learn more about God and what he's actually like. An example for you. Both science and the Bible agree that something came from nothing. What do I mean when I say that? Well, I need to introduce you to the Kalam cosmological argument. If you want to learn more about it, you can Google it, but it goes something like this. Premise number 1. If something begins to exist, it must have a cause for its existence. Premise number 2. The universe began to exist. That means it had a beginning. And premise number 3 is therefore, the universe has a cause for its existence. This whole thing is built on the idea that the universe began to exist. 3,400 years ago, the author of Genesis declared what scientists confirmed a little over 60 years ago, that the universe had a beginning. Before the Big Bang Theory, the majority of atheist scientists believed that the universe was actually eternal, and current research has proved that false. So if the universe began to exist, and everything that begins to exist has a cause for its existence, we can conclude that the universe has a cause for its existence. So what caused the universe? Well, the universe is all of space, time, matter, and energy, right? And because that cause must be spaceless or infinite, timeless or eternal, immaterial, some may say spirit, and immensely powerful, what is the best word that you might use to describe an infinite, eternal, immaterial, and immensely powerful cause? I would say it's God. The author of Hebrews says it like this in chapter 11. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what is visible. See, both science and the Bible agree that something came from nothing. And that's just one example of how science and the Bible go hand in hand to help us learn more about what the God who created us is really like. I'll end with this. This is Psalm 19, verses 1 and 2. The heavens proclaim the glory of God. The skies display his craftsmanship. Day after day they continue to speak. Night after night they make him known. See, both science and the Bible agree that something came from nothing. So if you like this content, be sure to check out the rest of our playlist, Questions for God, where you can watch longer form messages answering some more of your big questions. I can't wait to see you there.